Hello, I'm Anthony Peloso from QUT, and I'm the developer of this unit, and I want to talk to you today about scenarios. Let's call this session the general steps of scenario planning. Now, scenarios are stories. These are stories that can be based on facts, or they can be stories that we create to help us understand a particular situation or problem or context. We can use them as learning exercises, and we can also use them as problem-solving exercises, or both. And there are 6 key steps to building and applying a scenario. So the first step is to explore the scenario context. What's going on around? What is it you want to know about? It's important that you actually understand the bigger picture of what it is that you want to do. The second thing is to identify the driving forces in the environment. What really matters? What's making things happen? Or what is it that you believe is making things happen? The next step is to decide on the key variables. And just by the way, you're going to build a scenario at the end of this session. I'm giving you 2 key variables, so I've already helped you decide on what the variables are. You get to build a story around those particular variables. The next part is to undertake a stakeholder analysis. And you've just spent some considerable time and effort having some fun and also exploring a stakeholder landscape. So you understand how to explore more deeply about stakeholders. So in this context, you know I'm going to tell you who the stakeholders are likely to be, and you get to build this and create more. Next, you want to understand the impact on your stakeholders' thinking and the possible actions as a consequence of those variables that you identified. And finally, you want to build the scenarios. So they're the 6 steps that you're going to be using. Now, in this scenario, you're going to create 4 specific stories. And the variables that you have to play with are called access and price. So, you're going to be doing some stakeholder analysis around a potential new freeway that is linking 2 suburbs. And what you want to do is understand the impact of access and price. So the expressway is going to have either unrestricted access, so open, or it might have 2 lanes that are dedicated only to high occupancy vehicles. So these are restricted lanes for people with 3 or more passengers in them. So that's one, access, open, or partly restricted. The second key variable is price. So it could be that the expressway is completely free, or there'll be a variable toll depending on the time of day. A couple of other stories. So weekends are always going to be free. And also, I'm going to show you the framework that you will be using to develop your scenarios. So here we have a freeway, just to give you an idea. So potentially the freeway will either have 4 lanes going each way, completely open, or it might have 4 lanes going each way, 2 that are restricted and 2 that are open. It will either have a toll booth or it won't have a toll booth. So they're the options. And let's just go back here. So when you look at access, there are 2 components to access, either unlimited access or restricted access. The price, either no toll or a toll, a variable toll. And we formulate it like this. And if you think about, there are 2 axes. So the x-axis, so the horizontal axis, is pricing, and one end of the axis is variable pricing, the other end it's completely free. The y-axis, or the vertical axis, is going to be open access at the top or restricted access at the bottom. And this gives you 4 quadrants. So if we go back, so the top left is going to be open access, variable pricing. The top right is going to be open access, free. The bottom right is free, restricted access, and the bottom left is restricted access and variable pricing. So they're the 4 quadrants, or the 4 scenarios that you're actually going to work on and you're going to build. Now, it's always useful to put some kind of emotive variable or emotive name on your quadrants. You explored in great detail earlier on attitude formation, and you explored the cognitive elements of building an attitude, the emotive elements of building an attitude, the intent that you want to build, and then of course a call to action that goes. So we've just made up these 4 names. You can change these if you want to. So we're having top left, we're calling fast and furious. Top right, we're going to call fair and friendly. Bottom right, we're going to find some friends, call find some friends. And bottom left, we're going to call us and them. So they're names that we've given to these 4 quadrants. And please, you can change these as you wish. You can tell, however, each of those names gives the quadrant some sort of emotional feel. So if you think about fair and friendly and you have a look, so that's open access and free. If you go down to the bottom left, it's variable pricing and restricted access, meaning that some people are going to be able to go more quickly and they're going to pay for it. Other people are probably going to have more people on the freeway with them, fewer lanes, and there's going to be some payment involved in that. So we're going to call that us and them. Now this is the activity that you're working on. So you're going to create those 4 stories that you're going to use to communicate the nature of each of the options, and then also prepare an argument to support these. And you've spent some considerable time in this unit developing your reasoning and cognitive and logic skills, and also finding great ways to tell a story. You explored Professor Cialdini's 6 principles of ethical persuasion. You looked at his stories about persuasion. Right at the beginning of the unit, you actually also found about how to structure a logical argument. So they're the tools that you have to work with. So you're going to create 4 stories, 1 for each of the cells. And you might use the attitude formation model, for example, and some of the other insights that you've developed from this unit. And the point is that you're going to be able to play with those variables. You're going to learn how to create scenarios. You're going to build an argument with those 4 scenarios. Of course, in this case, we're not going to take it any further, but in your workplace, you could very well be able to build this and grow this and use it very effectively.